OBS tutorial for iVlog. You need to download OBS, first of all, for your system. As you can see on the screen, you have different choices, including Windows, OS X, and Linux, for those of you who are still Linux users. And select your version, Classic or Studio. For this tutorial, we will be using Classic. Once you get that out of the way, you get it all loaded up, and bring it up on your screen. First of all, you'll notice that you can resize the box to any size you want. That's very useful, because when you're doing a show, you want it nice and small and out of the way so you can see other things. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to just make it nice and big so everybody can see. Okay, so at the top, you'll see you have different menus like File, which whenever you change something, you definitely want to do a save. Settings, which you'll be using a lot. Profiles. Now, Profiles is very important because you can set this up many different ways. You can have unlimited number of scenes, as if you're used to using XSplit, or profiles. And then, of course, you got your scene collection, everything here. First thing you want to do is go into Settings, open up your settings, and the first things that will open is General. You can just, this is where you can name your setting. You can add profiles, choose your language if you don't speak English, all that good stuff. Totally just leave that alone. Encoding. Encoding, you just want to pretty much leave it the way you see it as it comes out of the box, with a few exceptions. You want to make sure that the encoder setting says X264. I don't know what it is for any other system other than Windows. Use CBR, enable CBR padding, max bitrate. In this first window down at the bottom, you have a max bitrate. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but mine's set pretty high at 1500 because I do a lot of graphics. I would recommend that if all you're going to do is get on cam, use VBR, not CBR. Okay. Cream says use VBR, but I've been using ZBR, so it will be kinder on you. The man is right. So if you unclick it, it'll change it, and then it'll go to VBR. However, max bitrate is where you really want to set, and that's going to be right about, depending on your internet connection, 500 to 800. Generally 700 is good if all you're going to do is cam and a few pictures. Next is your audio encoding. You're going to use AAC. You have different options like MP3. I use AAC. Your format, 44.1 to 48. Really doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Just click the use CBR or unclick the use CBR. It won't really matter. Bitrate, not very important. That's just for your audio volume setting. I set it at 80. And the channel, of course, stereo, since you want to have a nice setting. And then every time you change something, make sure you go down to the bottom and click Apply. Very important that you click Apply. Otherwise, it loses it. Here's the one that gets everybody. Broadcast settings. Okay? This is where you're going to put in everything you need to get your show on iVlog. For example, in the mode, you put live stream. In the streaming service, you're going to put custom because they haven't supported iVlog yet. And then the first empty box where you can add information is where you're going to put your stream key information. For those of you who don't know where to get your stream key, all you have to do is go up here to your cogwheel, click the cogwheel, scroll down to the portion that says Show, and then click on View Stream Key. Okay, I'm not going to do that because then you'll have my stream key and Cream will have to change it for me. But you just cut and paste that information from the stream key into these two boxes. FMS URL, which is probably always going to say stream.ivlog.tv.ivlog.tv. And they are case sensitive, so do a strict cut and paste from iVlog's window. That way you don't mess anything up. Also, save that information in a separate document file. Even write it down on a piece of paper, just in case you can't get to it. In other words, your pro count expires and you're broke and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Auto reconnect, you can leave that checked. All the rest of this really doesn't make any big difference to anything except for automatically save stream to file. Now, if you want to record your own shows, you can check that, browse to the path where you want to save your videos, and it'll automatically save them for you. That's pretty awesome. Okay? Right now there isn't a way to save your show here on iVlog, although I do understand that's coming down the road. Video is also very important. You select your video adapter. It's going to default to your natural video adapter. Well, yeah, well, the CBR VBR thing is just, it's not very, very, very important. I just have it set up the way I have it set up. Don't even worry about it, Lins. And when it comes time, you know, I'll walk anybody through it that they want, you know, one-on-one. Your base resolution, this is where you're going to take your resolutions and your aspect ratio, and of course 1600 by 900 or 16:9 aspect ratio, which is, you know, typical. Downscale, you really don't need to do a downscale, just leave it at none. All of this you can leave alone. Audio, this is where you're going to select your audio devices. Desktop audio device default, you generally can leave it at this, or you can select your stereo mix, whatever you want. You might have to play with this to get your audio working. As you can see, I have quite a few digital audios. I just go for default. It automatically pulls from stereo mixes, what you want for your microphone auxiliary device, or line in if you're using strictly a mixer and you don't want the sounds from your computer going out in the cache. You just want the mixer. But don't worry about this. Basic, just leave it alone. This is where you're going to troubleshoot your audio if people can't hear you. All the rest of this, ignore it. Hotkeys, you don't want to mess with. Advanced, you really don't want to mess with. All right. And this is where Cream was talking about VBR CFR. As you can see here, I have the CFR, use CFR for the encoding for the video. And that's nothing to worry about for the basic user. Don't even mess with any of this stuff if you're a basic user. All you got to worry about is general encoding, broadcast settings, and broadcast settings is the big one. This is where you put your stream key and everything you need. Okay? This is important. This is where the FMS URL and your play path stream key go. And that's the big one. The stream key is what tells OBS where to send your video and audio to, i.e. iVlog. Okay, once you got all that set, make sure you click apply, click OK, go up to file, go up to save. Now, this is where everybody has trouble with setting it up, the different scenes, how to get your camera in here, how to get your slideshows in here, how to get your pictures in here. This is the fun stuff. This is where we really get to learn. You click preview stream and it puts a window up there of what your stream is going to look like going out on the internet. Then what you want to do is add your camera. And all you got to do, and you can make different scenes which you can click through. So let's say we want to add a scene. We're going to call this scene 2. You name your scene. Oh, all of a sudden now you've got scene 2. Well, there's nothing there. You have to add it. That's where you go over to your sources window. Right click in your sources window, an ad will pop up. And this is where you add everything that you want to add to it. Window capture, monitor capture. I'll explain the difference in a little bit. Image slideshow, text, where you can tell people to fuck off, whatever. Video capture device. This is your camera. Okay? This is your camera. And we're going to name it My Camera. And then you hit enter. And then this big scary box pops up with a whole bunch of stuff in it. All you got to need to know here is this first window that says device. Okay? And you have your different camera selections. Select whichever camera you want to use. If you have Minicam installed, it will pull from Minicam. If you have XSplit installed, it will pull from there too. But if all you want to do is go on with your cam, just select your camera, Enable the audio if you're using the microphone from the camera, which you really shouldn't have to. I would leave this disabled because it'll pull from your stereo mix. And once you got this done, that's it. Your camera will be there once you click OK. Okay? It should be. There it is. And it's actually not showing here because it's already in the other scene. I hope. Oh, it got stolen. Anyway, you'll notice these red lines. Once you click Edit Scene down here, you can resize stuff. And it's not going to show my camera right now because it's been grabbed by XSplit, which is what I'm using the cast with. But there you go. That would be your camera, and you can make that any size you want, and then you can add, let's say you wanted to add your a picture of yourself. Or like Lindsay has a slideshow of pictures of herself. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it my slideshow. And then image slideshow selection box pops up. You can set the delay between the images. Uncheck everything here unless you want randomize. Randomize will just randomize the pictures. Then you click add file. Once you click add file, a whole bunch, your folder is going to open up, and then you have to cruise to where you keep your pictures. I'm going to select a few pictures by holding down Control. Another picture of me. You just select whatever pictures you want in the slideshow and then click open. And now all those pictures are there. Everything you selected is there in the box. Boom, you're done. Click OK, and there it is. There's your slideshow. Now, you will notice that there's space at the top and the bottom of the editing box, depending on the size of the picture. Have no fear. You can make this any size you want. Just hold down Shift, and it'll resize the picture any way you'd like. Okay, so have no fear about that. You can move this stuff all around you want. You put your camera there, and boom, you're done. Now, let's say you wanted to do a screen capture of someone else's show, or you wanted to do a screen capture of a cam like Times Square. You all seen me do it, where I've done a thing about a show with the Times Square in the background. You can do either window capture or monitor capture. Window capture is the better of the two to use. Name it whatever you want, and this window will pop open, and then you'll have windows that you can select from. Whatever you happen to have open. Right now we're going to screen capture the room. This is the biggie. Select subregion. This is where you can really modify this. You check the subregion box, click subregion, and then a transparent-ish window will open up over the browser window you have open. And then you can modify it to fit perfectly in size. And then there's the chat. Again, you could resize it by holding down the Shift key or not. If you do not hold down the Shift key, it will maintain aspect ratio. If you hold down the Shift key, you can virtually make it any size you want. And now I can read what you guys are saying while we do this. You cool? You got this, Lindsay? Very good. Let's see what else you could add. You could add text. Let's add some text. If you want to have a scroll during your show, you could choose your fonts up here, and it's everything that's in your system, unlike XSplit, which will only use the fonts loaded into XSplit. This will pull from any font you have installed. Select your color, whatever color you want to use. Let's leave it as white since we're on a black background. Opacity. I hope I said that right for you British folks. Opacity. The opacity is just whether, it's solid or kind of not solid. Let's make it about 50%, so I'll give you an idea. It's got a background color that you can check because it will go to a different background color. You can have an outline. Let's change the outline to a different color so we can show that. Once again, opacity, and enter your text. Try to spell properly so people don't think you're stupid. Select all those options and you are okay. And there you go. There's your OBS tutorial.